concerning someone transferring money to your account this week. I think I was in Lido and somebody was telling me that he didn't remember to bring his card when he was coming to Lido, that he wants to make transfer to my account so that I can use my card. I just laughed. So we have to be very careful.
We
So
have
that's very important. So I told the guy I can't. I would rather pay for you, no, and not allow that money to come into my account if it's something I can afford, than for you to push which sum into my account and you now use my card. After the payment, I will be the one they will be pursuing, not you. So we need to be very careful. So thank you. Yeah, for today's session, we will be looking at the first chapter of the Certified in Cybersecurity that we mentioned last week. And it's going to be, no, we're able to cover the whole chapter 1 today, so that at least maybe per week, we look at one chapter and we also look at some of the questions as well that can help us in the course of our preparation for exam. For the first chapter, what we are looking at is security principles. And the modules is looking around the security concept, information assurance, because what we do, or the nature of the work we might be involved in, is to provide a form of assurance to the client. And just like Madam Timmy also mentioned, with the current project that we have, a whole lot of us, with those who are actually willing, might also be able to have a kind of hands-on session to know what is going on when it comes to cybersecurity. So, looking at information assurance, looking at the risk management process, these are security principles. And also looking at the security controls. Is it technical? Is it operational? So these are the ones we'll be looking at. Administrative is also there as well, the use of policy, procedure, and the rest. Then also be considering some of the governance, framework, regulation, and the rest. ISO needs looking at least just to have a kind of background information of what all these things they are all about. Then this code of ethics, there are things you should not joke with. The code of ethics, you must know what it's all about. There are some questions they will ask. They will prioritize the code of ethics over any other thing. Just like when you are talking about any form of disaster in a place, and the people, and they'll be asking, okay, if there's any, how would I put it? There's a particular question we are going to see along the line. If there's anything that has to do with destruction of service or urgency, people living, people happening within the building, IT infrastructure, human life is of top priority, even before you start thinking about server or the data center. So these are the things you'll be seeing under the code of ethics. I want to believe some of us, we have this material. If you have started reading it, it will also help us a lot so that you're able to ask some questions where you need the clarification. This also talking about some of the things to be looking at: the risk time, the risk treatment. Do you mitigate? Do you transfer risk? Then also, do you avoid it? Security control, I've mentioned it, so I will not need to waste time here. It's the same thing. We'll also be going into the full definition and terms. Then this aspect too is also the same thing. I want to be some of them. We have also listened to this as well. It's important to listen to it because I mentioned it. The exam is not OBJ or what is this, divine this or divine that. That is not what it's all about. They are trying to test your understanding of what the program is all about. Your understanding is key. So let's take our time to listen to all these things. It will help you. Just like some people were asking the other day, because of my background, I've not been to IT. I don't really have much information around cybersecurity. Can I cope? You're able to get some tips from this particular video clips. It will help a lot. There was a guy there that didn't really know what to do. And somebody came in from IT background, and I was able to educate him. And he developed interest in it. And at the end of the day, he was able to launch into it. So to help a lot, I don't need to start playing it. You can, on your own, you have the material, just go through it. and listen to it. It will help you. Yeah. So, okay, it's still the same story. So now we are going proper into the course. Let me just take a look at this.
Cybersecurity is dynamic, and in this module, we'll cover the concepts at the heart of it.
That's right, Manny. We'll introduce the security concepts of information assurance and cover topics like the CIA triad, authentication, and privacy.
The CIA triad? That sounds like something out of a James Bond movie.
CIA is a basic principle behind everything we do in cybersecurity. Let's find out more.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So looking at security principle, the issue around security centers around three components, which I believe many of us we are familiar with. The triad, CIA triad, something that you shouldn't forget. Anything around security, cybersecurity, the component is these 3 points that we are talking about: confidentiality, integrity, and also availability. What's the meaning of all this?
Confidentiality relates to permitting authorized access to information, while at the same time protecting information from improper disclosure.
So what confidentiality, you should just see it from the way we used to transmit information. Then, back then, when you send letter from post office to the other, you buy a stamp, put it in an envelope. You don't want other people to have access to that information. So that is the same concept that we're having. Only to allow authorized person to have access to certain information. So that is what it's talking about. So while at the same time protecting information from improper disclosure. People that ought not to have access to certain information, you want to stop them from accessing it. So that is what it's talking about, confidentiality. There are certain things that has to be confidential. Not everybody should have access to it. So then also the other one.
Availability means that systems and data are accessible at the time users need them.
Availability is all around the system, our data. People having access to it at the right time. Just like somebody walking down to the banking environment, into the bank, and you need to transact. Definitely, the system must be available for you to do your transaction. Though back then, maybe many of us that came from Nigeria, we do have issues whereby the network will be down, to be up and running for certain periods. So these are part of the things that this course is actually addressing: availability of system and as well of the data, having access to it at the right time. Then the last one.
It's the property of information whereby it is recorded, used, and maintained in a way that ensures its completeness, accuracy, internal consistency, and usefulness for a stated purpose.
Yeah, integrity of the system, integrity of data. What this one is talking about is property of information whereby it is recorded, used, and maintained in a way that ensures its completeness. That information is complete, is accurate, and there is consistency. That is part of integrity. Whatever information A is getting, B is also getting the same thing. When information is moving from one point to the other, we can see that consistency in it. It has not been altered, nothing has changed. Usefulness for a stated purpose. If there's any form of alteration, then that means there's a problem around that. So system CI tried, what it's talking about is confidentiality, integrity, and also availability. These are terms that we are all familiar with. Many of us. So take note, because there are some questions you might see around this. They will just paint a scenario. They won't give you directly, but they will paint a scenario around it. We need to take note. We need to take note of the terms. Very important. Then the same thing they are trying to explain here. Confidentiality is a difficult balance to achieve when many system users are guests and customers. And it's also known if they are accessing the system from a compromised machine. What they are talking about, so many people or too many people accessing a system, the same system, possibly using the same credentials to access it. There's a form of compromise on the machine. So this one can, that one can access. You cannot say this is a particular one or this is a particular person that access this system at this particular time. When you are logging into a system, there should be a timestamp, making it only that information only tagged to you. So it is a difficult balance to achieve when many system users are guests or customers. The security professional obligation is to regulate access, protect the data that needs protection, yet permit access to authorized individual. When an individual is entering a particular system, that is why we have, you have your identity, you have your password, you know, all these three forms of layers of authentication that we have, either single factor, 2FA, multi-factor authenticator, is for everything centers around making the information a confidential one, only known to a particular person at the time. There are times when you log into a system, it will create your own profile. You only see your own folder, you only see your own information. You won't have access to other people's information. That is confidentiality. Then this PII is a term related to the area of confidentiality as well. Most times it's health sectors, they make use of this. It pertains to any data about an individual that could be used to identify them. Something we are using to identify an individual. So then also, they will also say something around sensitivity as well, which is a measure of the importance assigned to information by its owner. And the purpose of denoting it is need for protection. Sensitive information is information that, if improperly disclosed or modified, will harm an organization. Level of importance. When something is so sensitive, there is a way you guard it to protect it. That is why they will put, there are some documents, they will classify it because they are sensitive. So everything, all the information we have, they are still trying to explain the concept around confidentiality. Then for the integrity, what are the things are we protecting? We are protecting data. We are protecting the system. We are also protecting people as well. So that is integrity. We are protecting assurance, giving assurance that data has not been altered. Why do we have audit logs? When there is any form of investigation being carried out, they will go and check the audit trail, the audit log, just to be sure to know who and who did what. Many of us that work in banking environment, when there is a transaction that has been carried out, you always see the staff ID of a particular person being tagged to that particular transaction. Either the person that initiated it or the person that verified it, maker checker. So that is the assurance that the data has not been altered. We will know who and who, has done this or has done that. So that is it. So this requires the protection of data in the system and during the processing to ensure that it is free from improper modification, not only when the data is stored, even when it's being processed. Data integrity is key. So let's take notes. Just to ensure, it says, the degree to which something is whole and complete. It has not been altered. It has not changed. So that is what integrity is talking about. We have it for data. We also have it for the system. So maybe when you go through the details, you will understand better. Say maintenance of the known good configuration and expected operational function as the system processes the information. System integrity. That's something we call baseline. These are just the minimum requirements that we must have maybe on the system. If you have ever done installation before, maybe installing, bringing up a system from the scratch, there will be a kind of minimum configuration, basic things that you must just have to put on the system based on the approval of the approval given or the configuration setup being done within the department or whatever. So everything has been set in place. That is the basic requirement that must be on that particular system. Its integrity must always be ascertained by comparing the baseline with the current state. So after the initial installation, then subsequently, there will always be a form of upgrade and the rest. I might not be on all the system that you have to, give a kind of a privilege, a higher privilege to do certain things. But everybody will have the basic requirements on that particular system. So, but the information you are giving to A or B as a basic requirement must be whole and complete. Then availability, as you have said, it is like having a good uptime, timely and reliable access to information and the ability to use it. Having a good uptime, you go to the ATM point, do you have access to it? Is it working? You want to carry a transaction on your phone, can you do it real time? So these are the things that availability is talking about. So when you read the details, you understand more. Availability often associated with the term criticality. What are they talking about here? They are saying there are some infrastructure, they are critical. Yes, if they are not up and running, it can affect everything about the organization. Even when there is a disaster, the critical infrastructure must be brought up first. There are some you might not bother yourself about. There are some applications that are just meant for reporting, maybe collation, archiving, and some other things. So they are not really important, but there are some, they are key. So they have to prioritize it. Which one are we bringing up first during disaster? So criticality. So when it comes to availability, it goes with this word, it's critical. That system must be up first because it represents the importance an organization gives to data or information system in performing its operation and achieving its mission. If every other floor is down in a particular building and an organization, IT is important. Data center is key. It must be up and running. So that is what availability is talking about. Okay. So maybe we can just take a look at this briefly.
It's important to have a comprehensive approach to maintaining the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are the foundations of the cybersecurity domain. Confidentiality means that no private information has been disclosed to unauthorized individuals. We need to ensure that personally identifiable information, also known as PII, is protected. If you are part of a security team, your goal is to protect the assets or the information of large corporations or multiple individuals. For example, if you work in banking, healthcare, or insurance companies, you have multiple personal identifiers to protect. Integrity ensures that this information is not being corrupted or changed without the information owner's permission. It confirms that the information being maintained is complete and accurate and consistent with the legitimate use of that information. Interfering with the integrity of information can have serious ramifications. For example, someone without authority changes someone's medical information, and now a patient may be in jeopardy because someone changed that vital information. Our job is to maintain the security of that information so that no one, unless authorized to do so, changes any part of the information we are protecting. Availability is critical because it is essential that authorized users have access to important information in a timely manner. Cyber attacks that disrupt services often target the availability of data. A business cannot function if its employees and customers cannot access their information in a timely manner. A ransomware attack, for example, may lock up a system and block access to vital information and services. That access will not be restored until a payment is made.
Okay. Thank you. Let's continue. At least just to summarize everything that we mentioned under the CIA tribe. It's important: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, we also have other concepts around security principles, which is authentication. We are all familiar with this. You log into a system, when you are typing your password, you just be saying star, 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 just like what we are having here. So it's part of authentication. Your user ID is your identity. Sorry, who is cooking? Can you please mute yourself? When users have stated their identity, you are logging into a system, so it is necessary to validate that they are the rightful owner of that identity. Just maybe Sunday.do, or you log in, there are some organization, you log in with your staff ID, and you put in your password. That is a way of authenticating, verifying that you are the owner of that ID. But we know what is happening these days. People do share their information, they share their details. So which other things can we put in place to ensure that our identity is also secured? So authentication is process to prove the identity of the requester. So we have three methods of authentication. Number one is something you know. Please don't forget your password, your PIN. These are something you know, something you have. You have your token with you, maybe your smart card and some other means. You have it. The one you know, then the one you have, then the biometric, which is something you have. If I may ask us a question, you log into a system, you typed in your, what do you call it? Your ID or your name, then you put your password. You also input your PIN. Maybe it's requesting for PIN. Maybe at a second level of the authentication, asking for PIN. Is that a single or 2FA? Is it single or double factor authentication, or a single? Who wants to attempt that?
Double.
Why is it double?
Because you've gone through 2 levels of authentication.
What and what?
That is password and PIN.
And PIN. Password and PIN, they are something you know. It's still single. You can only call it double if you have something you have. So something you know, be it password, be it PIN, is still single. So it to be double. Yeah, you say? So yes, by the time you are now adding something like a token, so that's when it will now become a double factor.
How about a mobile phone text message?
Mobile phone text message.
After you put in your information out,
Yeah.
they will now send something to your phone, like a code for you to enter onto this computer.
Yeah, but do you know the code before seeing it on your phone?
No.
Yeah, so it's something you have.
Yeah, is it 2F? Can we call that 2FA?
That's 2FA.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yes,
thank you.
Token can either be hard token or soft token. So the token can either be hard token or soft token, which is something you have. If you have prior knowledge of what you are expecting, it's a different ball game entirely. But and if you know that for every transaction, the number keeps changing. Do you understand? So it's not what you know. Yeah, so that is that. Then make use of your biometric fingerprinting and the rest. That is something you have. So let's take note. So they are just trying to just explain the difference. What you know is referred to as knowledge-based, just like what I explained to you. Say there are 2 types of authentication using only one of the method. Authentication stated previously is known as single factor authentication, SFA. And granting user access only after successful demonstrating or displaying 2 or more of these is known as multi-factor. When you have more than 2, we call it multi-factor. So what you know is also the same thing known as knowledge-based. What you have is also referred to as token-based. So there are some questions you will see like that. They will not mention what you have. They will just mention token-based or something. So just telling you another way in which they can paint the question can come. Then characteristic-based is also referring to the biometric, who you are. So knowledge-based authentication uses a paraphrase or secret code to...
Lester,
Yeah, go ahead.
come on.
Hello, are you asking a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. So now, just like what I told you, they say if you have selected a personal identification number PIN, created a password or some other secret value that only you know, then you have experienced knowledge-based authentication. If what you have is PIN, if what you have is password, even all these secret questions, you already know them. Most time when you do online transaction and the rest, to be asking you if, okay, tell me the name of your pet. You already know those things. So they are also they fall under the same category of knowledge-based. But additional security feature, which is token-based, is something you have with you, just like a smart card, your token, and the rest. So there's an example here. For example, the help desk might receive a call to reset a user's password. The challenge is ensuring that the password is reset only for the correct user and not someone else pretending to be that user. For better security, a second or third form of authentication that is based on token or characteristics will be required prior to resetting the password. The combined use of user ID and a password consists of 2 things that are known, not that you have. And because it does not meet the requirement of using 2 or more of the authentication methods stated, it is not considered MFA. So password and other things, maybe what you know generally. So they still follow the category of single factor authentication. So let's take note. You are going to see questions.
Please,
yeah.
May I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Okay, please. How do we categorize fingerprint authentications?
Fingerprint is biometrics. So
Biometrics.
yeah. It's biometrics, yeah. Even the iris too, using your eyes, scanning your eyes. We have the technology now. We might not have it where we are coming from. We also have it these days. So it's what you are. You come as you are. And mostly your body features and things like that. That's what they call it, characteristics base. So this time around, we are looking at proving identity. I don't know how long this one will take, but let me just on your own, you can just go through it. You also have the material. Many of us, I know we must have even read this as well. So non-repudiation, what is this one talking about?
How do we get the materials, please? I have not gotten anything.
Have you?
Were you on the call last week?
I am.
Yeah, you have all these things on your portal.
Okay.
Don't worry, maybe once I'm done, I will log out and log in again so you can see the way it is. You have the material just for you to go through. The non-repudiation, what is it talking about? Protection against an individual falsely denying having performed a particular action. Somebody can do something and tell you that I'm not the one that did it. So how do you know? Most of the time, maybe when we are working, 2 or 3 people log into the same system to carry out transaction. And that is why these days, when you are done, you will switch user. You have to switch using your own login details so that we'll be able to know who actually logged in, the time you logged in, and the event, what you have done can be traced to you. In today's world of e-commerce, electronic transaction, there are opportunities for the impersonation of others or denial of an action, such as making a purchase online and later denying it. And thank God for the technology that we have these days. When you log in, do transactions, either you are using your fingerprinting, or you are using a token to authenticate the transaction over and over again. Even apart from the fact that you have logged in with it, when you also making a transfer, you also be asked to do your fingerprinting so that we know. Sorry, can you please mute yourself? So what this non-repudiation is saying is that you cannot deny what you have done. You cannot deny it. I said it in even the banking industry because I worked in bank before. When you initiate a transaction on all this core banking application, your staff ID will go with it. You will see this. You will see the staff ID of the inputter. You also see the staff ID of the verifier. So there is no way you can deny that I did not do it. But I know people do give their details to others. I say, I'm eating. Please just take my login, go and log in and verify. They will verify. But if there are issues at the end of the day, they will hold you accountable because it's your staff ID they are saying. You cannot be saying that because I gave it to somebody to do for me. No, that they call it no repudiation. So it's important. Ensure that people are held responsible for transaction. That is what we're talking about. So let's take note. And there's something around privacy as well. The right of an individual to control the sharing of your information. You can decide on what you want to give out. Even the country where we are, when they are collecting your data, they will even tell you the reason why they are collecting that information and what they want to use it for. Back then in Nigeria, sometimes people will log in and they will be collecting data. They will give you one very long form and you just be filling out the information. And they will not make use of it at the end of the day. So you only get the information that you need. You don't give too much information. What do you need? Is it only email you need? Give only email address. What is compulsory? You give it. The one that is optional, you can decide not to add it because you have the right to your information. Very important. And sometimes even when an organization is holding your data, that is why they always come back to you that, okay, do you want us to extend this information or should we delete it? Because they know that you have the right either to hold your information, your data, or for them to delete it from their system. So that is important. Let's take that's what privacy is talking about. When we have this EU data protection body, which is a GDPR. So it's also talking about data protection. So we can just read around it. I think that was what they were using. So they've been using the US. And we also have other, I think UK too, also has something like that. They call it GDPR UK. That is what they call their own. But actually, when you look at the two documents, they have something similar. They are just trying to form it that maybe because of separation from EU. So let's take note of this. It's just generally talking about data protection. Then in our workplace, let's take a look at this.
Privacy is a major component of information security. Once we know how private the information is, we know what appropriate controls can be implemented. A number of standards, policies, and procedures govern privacy in the working environment, and these vary by geographic region. In the United States, HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, controls how the privacy of medical information must be maintained. In the European Union, EU, the General Data Protection Regulation gives anyone within the borders of the EU control over what personal information companies can compile and retain about them. As a security professional, it's important to be aware of privacy laws and regulations in all jurisdictions where your company conducts business. When doing business in other countries, we must be aware of their privacy standards and regulations and act accordingly.
So please, let's take note of that last statement. When many of us will be working remotely, you need to understand what data protection is saying in an environment where you are working. You might be in UK and be working in US. So you must strictly adhere to that GDPR. Is very important. So let's just take note. It's not only that, okay, because I'm in UK, I'm free. So far you are working, in that environment. So we need to make sure we understand what the privacy or the data protection is talking about, and make sure we comply with it. Very important. Okay, I think I will not waste time on this. It's just a form of checking asking us some question here, which you can, okay, maybe we can, oh, which one is this? Let me go back. Okay, yeah, so let's quickly do this. Drag the time below into the box next to the correct definition. And once you are done, you click submit. So authorization, which one is the correct one?
You can unmute yourself. I'm a part of this.
I think it's the right or permission that is granted to a system entity to
Yeah.
access a system resource.
Yes, you are correct.
Number one.
Number one.
Second that.
You said? The
I
second?
second that. I second
You
it. No,
second it.
I
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. That's correct. What of authentication?
Access control process that compares the last one.
Okay. That compares one or more factor of identification to validate the identity claimed by a user.
Yeah.
Identity is known to the system.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Okay, what I'm going to do now? Okay. The property that data has not been altered in an unauthorized manner is what?
That's integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah,
Integrity.
digital integrity, yeah.
Let's do this also. The characteristics of data or information when it is not made available or disclosed to unauthorized person or process.
Confidentiality.
Confidentiality.
An individual to contribute to the distribution of information about themselves.
That's
I don't know which one are you answering. No?
Confidentiality.
Confidentiality is the second one, and the third one.
The fourth one.
Is the
It's
fourth
Third.
one.
The fourth one, yes.
The
The
fourth
right
one
of
is
an individual.
privacy.
No.
No,
The
that's
fourth one should be
three.
privacy.
Number three
Third
is
one.
confidentiality.
The characteristics of data.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Integrity.
The fourth one. No.
No, number two.
It's number
It's
two.
property
Integrity is
that
number
data
two.
has not been altered.
It's number two.
Yeah.
When everybody is talking, how do we know about
Let's just one person talk and give us the reason why you are selecting that. And then maybe you should also give us like hints. There are certain things, information you will see in the question that will give an idea that this is the right answer to this.
Okay, if I may come in.
Yeah.
For
Right.
me, integrity will be number two, and the hint for me are the three words the 4 words has not been altered.
Thank you. That's it. Please, let's take note. Has not been altered or has not been changed. So
Can I ask a question on that? I think it needs to include the unauthorized manner as well. Because what if the data has been altered in an authorized environment or manner? Would you say that is integrity?
No.
Yeah, you do have a point there. You do have a point there. We're just looking for trigger words.
exactly.
Quick triggers, the primary trigger words. The entire sentence describes what integrity is. So every word does matter. The syntax matters.
Data can be altered if there's an approval.
Yes.
Do you understand? So I understand what you are saying. In an unauthorized manner. Then
Number 4.
Yeah, okay, the next one, number 4.
Privacy.
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 Lady B's hand is up. I don't know if you
sorry.
want.
Yeah, okay, maybe she will
Thank
answer
you.
the next one.
So I think that's the number 4.
Okay,
Sorry,
good.
that's what I was gonna say.
Ensure timely and reliable access to and the use of information by authorized user. Inability to deny taking an action.
Yeah, that's the second to the last one.
Inability to
Non-repudiation.
Good. Then this is talking
Please
about
can you explain more on that? Non-repudiation. I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, that means whatever you have done, you cannot deny that you did not do it.
Okay.
You cannot, because they must have seen an information that shows that this is your name.
So you owe whatever thing you have done.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. I
And
guess
I can
sometimes it might not have been you that did it. Someone else
Yeah.
might have access to accounts, but it will still show on the owner of the account's name that it was the person that did it.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes when you're on the system, you are going somewhere, you don't just leave your system. What do you need to do? You lock it.
Log out.
Or you log out. So just do window L, you out. The next person coming cannot log in to it. You don't just leave your system. But many of us, we are fond of that. Even when we are at home, we leave our system for our husband, for our rest.
Oh, yeah, because that one is sure because you think that you're together,
And I know you are together, but not the same. It's better you are also seated when whatever is doing you can see it, because if you are working with NHS and he mistakenly send one mail or whatever, you can't be saying my husband did it too.
Yeah.
It's also part of the e-learning. I think they have one application like that. So is it what is it again? I can't remember the name of that application. So it's important you are there, even if they are assisting you. But I know many of us, we do give our details out and people make use of it, which is not good. Because we don't have time. All right. So I think we are fine. We got all. We can move to the next one. So protecting information now.
Sometimes a collection of data might be considered PII, while the distinct data elements, each by itself, would not. For example, a date of birth alone can be shared by many individuals and is not considered PII. However, when combined with a name or other piece of information, it would significantly narrow the possibility of association with more individuals. Cybersecurity professionals take on the obligation of protecting many kinds of organizational data and personal information. We all have PII, and it needs to be protected. The 3 elements of the CIA triad play out in our everyday lives. The next time you go to your physician, open your email, or check the balance of your checking account, think about how the people who were entrusted to protect it accomplish this responsibility. It is a different way of thinking, and one you will develop as you progress in your cybersecurity career.
Okay. I remember then in Nigeria, sometimes you make deposits, you go back the second day, you are seeing the old balance. You will just scream, what is happening?
Thank you. Nigeria is always a case study.
Data integrity. So that's it. I think we move to the next one. We're talking about risk. Here we'll be talking about threat, vulnerability, and also asset as well. Okay, let me just go straight.
Information assurance and cybersecurity are greatly involved with the risk management process. The level of cybersecurity required depends on the level of risk the entity is willing to accept. That is, the potential consequences of what's going on in our environment. Once we evaluate this risk, Then we will implement security controls to mitigate the risk to the level that we find acceptable. Risks can be from cyber attacks, such as malware, social engineering, or denial of service attacks, or from other situations that affect our environment, such as fire, violent crime, or natural disasters. With well-designed risk management technologies, we can recognize vulnerabilities and threats and calculate the likelihood and the potential impact of each threat.
Okay, so they've actually mentioned the key terms. When you are talking about risk management, we have an asset. Asset is anything of value, which I believe many of us will know. Your server, whatever it is that is of value is an asset. You must look for a way to protect the asset. So here we have all the terminologies. Asset is something in need of protection. Because we have invested so much in the data center, you need to protect it. Vulnerability is talking about, key word for vulnerability is weakness or gap. Any form of weakness in the system, that is vulnerability that a threat can exploit. So, and we have to guard against that because the impact might not be desirable. Most times it won't be desirable. The whole network can go down, anything can happen. So the security professionals use their knowledge and skills to examine operational risk management, determine how to use risk data effectively, work cross-functionally, and report actionable information, findings to the stakeholders concerned. So terms such as this, threat, vulnerability, asset are familiar to most cybersecurity. You must know the definition of all these things. So asset, vulnerability, and threats. So that is important. Here, now, can you tell me what is the risk here? What is wrong with this data center?
The door to the servers are open.
Yeah, which is very wrong. It has to be locked. So,
vulnerable to attack, yeah.
You say?
It's vulnerable to attack.
Vulnerable, yeah. So one disgruntled staff, maybe they've not promoted the guy for the past 10 years. He will just walk by and pull one cable there. And before the administrator will even come down, the guy will just disappear. And they will lose the money and everything. So even cause, what do you call it? Affect their customer retention and loyalty as well. So that's what we are looking at. So, and again, most time when we'll be working as well, there are several of these that we will observe in our environment. So they said threat is a person or thing that takes action to exploit a target organizational system vulnerabilities. It might be a thing, it might be a person. Thunder, strike, and the rest also a threat in an environment. And that's why we see some organizations, they invest so much to protect themselves against a thunder strike. So a whole lot of investment goes into it, so that when there is something such occurrence, you will not even feel the impact. I've worked in a place that virtually all the IT infrastructure went down just because there was no thunder arrestor. So that is it. So when they are investing in such, or somebody is bringing a budget or a quote, you say, what is it in a thunder arrestor that you are now, allocating such amount to it? It can actually cost a whole lot. So that is important. Okay. They said in the context of cybersecurity, threat actors include the following. It could be someone insider, either deliberately by simple human error or by gross incompetence. Someone's mistake can cost an organization a lot. So as individual can also be a threat actor, in a workplace. What you don't know, sometimes what you don't know, you ask questions. You don't just keep quiet. That's why I love all these Scottish sometimes when you work with them. If you ask a question, if they don't know, they will tell you, no idea. But some of us will still trying to be just, try and try and try and try. At the end of the day, if there is any form of issues or downtime, it can cost someone's job. So you can never go wrong by asking questions. Outside individuals or informal groups, maybe an attack from outside too, then former entities that are non-political, business competitors too can also be. Some people, they will leave the organization, they will be sponsored by other organizations to come and join the new organization so that it can be giving them information and bring down their system. So a whole lot of things happen. That's why they do background checks for some people when where they are coming from, what really happened, where you are coming from. They go and find out, and things like that. So that is very important. I think we can read this one up on our own. It's not
Popular targets for pickpockets. The existence of pickpockets in a crowded tourist spot is a threat to the people gathered there. That threat applies to everyone in the vicinity, even other pickpockets. If you are in the vicinity and a pickpocket has identified you as a target, you are facing a threat actor, whether you know it or not. The approach and technique taken by the pickpocket is their threat vector.
So you can see in that place. And you won't blame our mothers. Then if they are going to market to go and buy things, you will imagine where they will be keeping their money. So that is it, just to tell us that we have to be security conscious. Very important. Then vulnerability, I've mentioned it, is the weakness. A system that has not been patched for days, for weeks, for months, that system is vulnerable.
One question, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Man, I don't know. I'm entirely new, so I'm just getting used to the words. What do you mean patched? A system that has not been patched. Is that a technical word?
Yes, it's a technical word. That means the system has not been updated to the current or to the latest version. There's something they call patch management. You understand? Like all this in Microsoft, all the software, they will always release a new, like an update, an upgrade. And once there's a new one or something that you need to update your system, they will forward it to the organization. But sometimes the administrator might not do that immediately because they also have to go through testing, get approval, because any new change can also affect the system one way or the other. So they need to test it first that it's working. So in the process of testing it, some people can do that for almost 1 week or 1 month, and before you know it, the threat actors can take advantage of such. So that is what it means. So meaning that some of the patched irregularly or be updated. So
okay,
right.
Okay, I was just going to ask just out of curiosity, the testers that you're talking about, are they the specialists called QAs, the quality assurance people?
Yeah, they're also part of it as well, because whatever administrator is doing, because admin will be the one to actually carry out the upgrade, but the QA will also be there to test to be sure that what we have done is actually up to the standard and is properly done. That's why most time when they are doing, when they are carrying out that, there's something we call UAT, user acceptance testing, just to be sure that okay, these are the features that needs to appear, or this is the latest version we are upgrading to. And it has to be tested. And all the stakeholders will sign off on it. So it's like the QA is just like checking on the work of the administrator that what you have done, has it been done? Is it working as expected? It might also be for an application as well, just to test, just ensuring the quality of the work done. So, and most times they already have like a checklist. So normally when you hear the word QA, you'll be thinking it's one big work like that. They already have a checklist of what they are looking at. Maybe a particular website has to ask a particular features. So you launch it. If it's not having it, you just take it's not done or not completed or something like that. So you send it back again to the developer, they work on it again, you come back and test it just to make sure that everything is done as expected before you can now hand over the task to the client.
Thank you very much.
So the likelihood is like probability. Will this thing happen? So that's what it's talking about. Probability, likelihood of occurrence. Will this thing occur? It's not a matter of it will not happen. It's a question of when. So if it happens, what is the impact? Is it going to cost us money? Is it going to give us a reputation issue? So these are the things, these are some of the components of risk talking about it. The likelihood that it's going to happen and what will be the impact. That's how many times will this thing happen in a year. So when you are doing risk assessment, these are some of the things that we look at. If looking at the previous incidents, when this thing happened last year, how many times did it happen? It happened once. What was the implication of it? Maybe it caused a bank or caused organization so good amount of money. You take note of it. So when you are budgeting for the coming year, you also factor that into it as well. That if this thing happen, this is the risk we are exposed to. But if you can take care of it, that will help us as well. So, but I think that's a place we will get to. We are, there's a particular area we'll get to look at it. That okay, the cost of the risk and the cost of mitigation, we need to factor that into it, because if the risk is 50,000 or 50 pounds, and the cost of mitigating it is 200. I think it's better to just allow the risk to just be, so that you can save yourself some money. So, but we'll get there for us to understand that concept. So likely is like probability that thing will occur. And most times we do this based on the previous experience. It might be to the organization where you are working. It might as well also be maybe to other organizations around you that they've experienced such. And when it happens, what really happened? What was the impact? You have to factor it into whatever budget that you are planning for.
Sorry, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so is there a way to measure probability and impact of these risks happening? So is there a way to measure, like say, okay, this probability is like 5 and maybe impact is like 2 or 3? Is there a framework that is used to calculate that or to measure that?
Yeah, yeah, we have a framework for risk. In ISO, we have 27005. But most times when you are looking at likelihood of occurrence, most times is done qualitatively.
Okay.
It's not something that maybe you accept, maybe it has happened. That I said, sometimes you need to figure it out. Okay, last year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, have we experienced this before? If not you, it might be other organizations as well around you that thing happens to. So you need to have an idea, okay, if this thing happens, how many times? You are looking at a downtime that happens maybe last year. How many times was the system down? Do you understand? What was the impact? Did you lose money? So when you have an idea of such and it's documented, so when you are making your projection for the coming year, you have to factor those things. It's also a risk on its own that this and this can happen. Then you cannot be looking at mitigation. How can we mitigate it? Because you cannot reduce risk completely. Yes, you cannot reduce it completely. You can only, you cannot remove it completely. You cannot eliminate it.
Yeah.
But you can only reduce it.
What if the mitigation action takes care of the risk? Is it not possible? Or when maybe if the stage of that risk or the stage of which the risk can affect the company, maybe that stage has passed.
Can you give us a scenario?
Okay, say for instance, maybe there's just, let's use the lightning that you talked about.
Okay.
Usually occurs during a particular season of the year, and there's a risk of the lightning happening and then destroying or bringing down the servers in an organization. That is a risk. Obviously, there are mitigating actions to take care of that risk or to yeah. But what if all the mitigation actions that have been put to place, I understand that the mitigation actions reduces the impact, if I'm
Mhm.
correct,
Yes.
impact of that risk affecting the organization. But what then happens if that season has passed? Is the risk still going to be viable or viable or something?
If it has passed, fine. But won't you? Maybe it's a rainy period. It will still come again, because you are looking at whatever you are calculating. You are looking at the whole year.
Okay.
You understand? You are not looking just a particular season alone. And for the fact that it did not happen last year, doesn't mean it cannot happen again, because all these things can as well fail along the line. One contractor can come and work where you have your thunder arrestor and remove something without asking questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Why you
Thank
also
you.
have costs for maintenance, either it is working well or not. You have company vendors that will come and check to be sure that everything is still intact.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. But normally, most times, you cannot eliminate risk. You can only reduce it.
Thank you.
So now, when you are talking about risk identification, which is very important, because for you to be able to mitigate a risk, you must be able to identify, the risk by knowing the asset. So do you walk down the street watching out for traffic and looking for puddies on the ground? Maybe you have noticed loose wire at your desk or water in the office floor. It's a risk on its own. Maybe there is water on the floor. Then if you are working in a structured environment, you can hardly see wires flying everywhere. What do they normally do? They put it in a trunk. What is the right way to do? Just like the other one that we looked at, you see the door opened to the rack. It's very, very wrong. A risk on its own. So what this one is just talking about is identifying risk is not just one and done activity. It's a recurrent process of identifying different possible risks. Then you characterize them, then estimate their potential for destruction in the organization. You put a cost to it. So if it happens, what is the implication? How much will it cost us? Then how much do we need to mitigate it? Now, sometimes the amount we are going to spend might not be up to the cost of the risk. So take care of it so that it won't cause a major downtime. Then take away to remember about the risk, that identify risk to communicate it clearly. You must be able to identify your risk. If you are working in any environment, you'll be able to identify your risk. I remember a boss that I once worked with. I think he was formerly in Manchester before he came to Nigeria to work. And when he got there, the department that he was in charge of, he has to prioritize. He look at, okay, what is the risk in this department? He was checking each unit and the unit under him. Okay, what do you people do? Trying to have an idea. Do I really have any risk along this line? Other ones. So at the end of the day, he prioritized the risk to know the one to give major attention to. Which is, if you don't prioritize, if you don't know your risk, you will not know the one to give attention to. So you must be able to identify it and communicate it clearly. Employees at all levels of organization are responsible for identifying risk. Please take note of this. It's not only the CISO. It's not only the risk, the risk management team. Employees at all levels of the organization are responsible for identifying risk. Whatever you see, you should be able to report it. And I know that some companies today have a portal. So any risk you observe, you log it. And the team in charge can now investigate. Identify risk to protect against it. So they say you are likely to assist in risk assessment at any system level, focusing on process, the control, maybe the way we work. You can be in an environment where you are working and you discover that only one person is just the one initiating an expense. We just approve it. Nobody is checking it. It's a risk on its own. You can write anything. If there could be flaw in the process, you raise it. You talk about it. Monitoring, incident response, and recovering activities. So all these things are very, but if you don't have knowledge about all this, you'll be thinking everything is normal. And the reason why they are bringing us on board in organization is so that you can add value to the environment. Nobody is bringing you to come and pay you salary. They are looking for people that can add value. Do you have new initiative? So it's very important. I remember I worked with one of these health and social care, and I was reading through one of their documents. What is the name of the document again? Something on hazard. And I found it there that even those machines they are using, that the fault cause that normally when the machine is down, they have to log a call for the technician to come and fix it. They say in that particular standard of the policy that the record of that fault call you must have it for 5 years. Keeping it for 5 years. So, and you will be working in a place, even might be the head of the manager, and you are not paying attention to those things. One day, one regulator will just come and be asking for those documents. You say you don't know. And everything is written in all these documents. The policy, the standards. So it's important for us to pay attention to certain things. It might be very little things, but it can cost us our job. So that's very important. And one that lacks any kind of risk management, mitigation plan and program, you might have opportunity to help fill that planning void. So the reason why we are able to, whatever gap we are seeing in the system, see how we can be of help. Then we can quickly go so that we can finish this type of time. The assessment, what that one is just talking about is now beyond identifying, you are also now estimating, prioritizing. I mentioned it. If you are working in an environment, you must know your risk. Any environment you are working, you must know your risk. Even the staff you are working with, which one is high risk staff? There are some people, they call them high risk staff. Somebody that will just be working for 1 good year will not go on leave. It's an high risk staff. How will you not go on leave? They said because it's so important. It's so important. What if something happen tomorrow? Will the work stop? He must go on leave. Whatever he is doing, he should learn how to, normally there should be a process. Why do we have SOP? Service operating procedure, everything, whatever anybody is doing, it should not be that you are holding information for what? Everything must be clearly stated so that if you are not around, someone else should be able to do it. Except you don't even want to have the peace of mind that you'll be on leave. They will be calling you on phone and you are happy that they are calling you. Say, you can see now they will soon call me because I'm very, very important to them. No. That doesn't show
You're
you
correct.
No. It's very wrong.
You're correct.
When you go on leave, you go on leave. You're able to shut down completely. You know that somebody will be disturbing you. Whatever any other person needs to know, teach them how to do so that you can also rest. So when you have those things documented, it will help a lot. So it's a risk on its own.
So
if only one, yeah, go ahead.
So does it mean that if you're there and you identify that risk, maybe this example you give now, that you see that staff, they don't take leave, they don't go, even if they're on break, they will still be coming back if they call them. Could you, as a colleague, report that as well as a risk?
Why not? You can report it.
Okay,
it's a
because
risk on its own.
yeah.
Because the day he's going to resign, you are going to have major problem. Big time problem. I think this is what I'm telling you based on experience. Somebody is saying that when I'm on leave, I don't want to call me, I will come back. Then the guy is hiding something. So if you should leave tomorrow, a whole lot of things will happen. So it's important. You can even see that it's written there that prioritizing risk to an organization operation, they mention assets. They also mention individual. That is human being. So,
and unfortunately, if that person dies maybe because of overworking, the company can also face a liability about that.
Yeah, if you have all this assessor coming around to audit your book, one of the things they normally ask for is your leave roster.
Yeah.
They want to know who is not going on leave. And that's why when they discover that those people they are around or they are coming, they will be asking people, yeah, apply for leave. Because they don't want to hear that because he's the only one that knows this work. That's why he cannot go on leave. People should be able to go on. Whatever you are doing, teach your subordinates, teach other people, your colleague. Everybody should be able to do it. It shouldn't be only you. That's a key man risk. He's not even helping himself. So a common risk assessment activity identifies the risk of fire to a building. While there are many ways to mitigate the risk, the primary goal of risk assessment is to estimate and prioritize it. So when you get to an environment, identify the risk, then prioritize which one is my major problem. It's like when you say there is a risk, it's like which one is my headache in this place? You need to kill that headache first. There are other things that might not be, even when you get to a new environment, there are some things they will be doing. Saying this one, I know this one. I know this one. But there are a particular one that I know that I don't really have the information. You need to learn it. You need to learn it. So that is that. They say fire alarm at the lowest cost and can alert personnel to evacuate and reduce the risk of someone is raising hand. Please go ahead doing.
Please, from what you have explained now, it's I hope I'm not missing it, because it's coming across to me as if it is the risk assessment that comes before the risk prioritizing, because you have to assess the risk before you now begin to prioritize. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, the risk assessment generally, you know, if you look at the definition, is everything around the risk.
Okay.
It's defined as the process of identifying, estimate. Sometimes when you estimate, you have a cost to it. You can say, so I don't even know, because you might be looking at a particular thing and say, this a particular object or a particular infrastructure and say, okay, it might not be that expensive. But when you know the costs, the value of that particular item, you will now know that I need to prioritize it.
Okay.
If there is no stopgap, that is why you see there are some equipment that IT device, network infrastructure and whatever, they need to have a stopgap. If anything happens, do we have what we can fall back to? If you don't estimate, you might not be able to prioritize. So the whole thing around risk assessment is identifying, estimating, prioritizing risk.
Oh, so assessment is all encompassing.
All encompassing, yes.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much. So the result of the risk assessment process is often documented as a report and presentation given to management for their use in prioritizing the identified risk. I'm going to drop a particular link for us because I want this thing to be of practical for you to know how risk assessment is being done. I will drop a link for you. You can watch it. Some make use of Excel. There are some they have tool, other application that they use, for this. All you just need is just the assets. They look at your vulnerability. You look at your threats. You calculate it. They put a figure to it, either qualitatively. There are some that you might not be able to put a figure to, whereby you just have to just assume that maybe because of the likelihood or occurrence and something like that, it's qualitatively. But when you can actually put a figure to, or you have this numerical, there are some applications that when you do your vulnerability scanning, you can get a figure to hit. It will do rating for you, vulnerability score, give you a figure. It will also prioritize it for you, high, low, medium, and things. So you're able to know the one you need to work on first, second one, and things like that. So in some cases, management may indicate a need for a more in-depth or detailed risk assessment performed by internal or external resources. They are always interested. If there's any report you are presenting and you have a session that captures your risk, management will always be interested in it. Very, very important. And there is no environment without risk. So then when you have identified your risk, you can now be talking of how to mitigate it. How to mitigate the risk. The first one, here we have avoidance. We have acceptance. We have mitigation. We also have transfer. It's very easy. When you are talking of transfer, it's like you're having an insurance. I remember back then I worked in a bank, and we needed to deploy ATMs to some locations. We tried on our own using our own vehicle to do that. They got a vehicle and they were doing it, and the vehicle will break down on the road. We're not able to meet up with the timeline, and even there was a time the driver had an accident. So what they did was just to now outsource it to a firm. So, and we outsource this, we also give it, there is an SLA backing it up. If you are leaving from social location to another location, this is the time it must take you. Either your vehicle get there or you don't get there, anyhow you want to do it, you must deliver our goods. And you're also paying. That's why sometimes when they give you quotation, they won't give you normal quotation. They have to consider other contingency plan and the rest, that if anything happens, they might need to call another vehicle. So people say, how come now this vendor brought so amount of money is too much? It's like that professional charge. They are just charging you. They've considered other things around it, because your own is that they must deliver, and you have given them a timeline backing it up. So transfer is that you are getting an insurance involved. By the time we click on it, I think they say risk transference is the practice of passing the risk to another party who will accept the financial impact of the harm resulting from a risk being realized in exchange for payment. Typically, this is insurance policy. Anything around insurance policy is risk transference. You transfer the risk. So just get a third party. Then, when you're talking of acceptance, it's saying taking no action to reduce the likelihood of a risk occurring. Management may opt for conducting the business function that is associated with the risk without any further action on the part of the organization, either because the impact or the likelihood of occurrence is negligible. They will rather accept it if it's negligible, because the benefit is more than enough to offset the risk. I saw GTB banks taking a whole lot of risks, because they will look at it that, okay, how much is the cost? We will pay them. If you are complaining that customer defrauded, we'll just pay you. We already have enough. They will have made the money. So they will rather accept it. They will not want to waste their money to mitigate. Just because of mitigation might be more than the cost of the risk itself. But when this is now a regulatory requirement that CBN says this is a must you must have, you will not have to look at the cost. You must have it. So it's taking no action to reduce the likelihood of a risk occurring. You are not doing anything. You are accepting the risk. So that is that. Then mitigation is now when you are now taking action, putting some form of security control in place to mitigate it. It's the most common type of risk management, and it includes taking action to prevent and to reduce the possibility of a risk event and its impacts. It can involve remediation, control, security controls. It can be technical. It can be physical. When you go to some banks, you will see turnstile. These are security controls. Establishing policy, procedure. Some, they are also administrative as well. So risk cannot always be mitigated, but mitigation such as safety measures should always be in place. So you cannot take it off, you cannot eliminate it, but you can only reduce it. Then the last one is the avoidance. It's the decision to attempt to eliminate the risk entirely. This will include ceasing operation for some or all of the activity of the organization that are exposed to a particular risk. What this one is saying, I remember there was a time we had an issue where I worked in the banking system. People were complaining around the web transfer, online transfer, and the rest, and we're not having the banking application that could support it. All we did was to shut down that channel. That is, we are avoiding risk. Until when we now got a higher version that can manage such channel before we now turn it on. We're having issue then. People will use ATM, before you know it, it will credit them back again. Because the version of the core banking that we're using wasn't robust enough. So that to avoid problem, you shut down. It's like a unit. You shut down that particular unit. You can continue with other things. You can outsource it, you know, and things like that. So that is avoidance because we don't want any penalty or something like that. So let's, on our own, we can just take our time to go through it. It's not something difficult to understand. Avoiding it, you accept it. You don't mind what will be the implication. You transfer it, you get insurance cover for it, and mitigation as well. You have to, you know, have a security control in place. It will involve money as well. So that is that. And risk management process is what this one is talking about. Let's listen to it.
As we mentioned before, an asset is something that we need to protect. It can be information, or it can be an actual physical piece of equipment, such as a rack in the server room, or a computer or tablet, or even a phone. A vulnerability is a weakness in the system. It can be due to lack of knowledge or possibly outdated software. For example, perhaps we don't have a current operating system, or our awareness training is lacking. A threat is something or someone that could cause harm once they learn that we have a weakness. For example, if we have a back door open, either logically or in our website, or even physically in the back office, someone can exploit that weakness and take advantage of that gap in our defenses to access information. The likelihood or probability of that happening depends on the overall environment. In an environment that's extremely secure, such as a data center or a bank, the likelihood that someone can come in and rob the bank is very low. Whether they are seeking access through a web browser or physically into the actual bank, their likelihood of success is not high because security is very strong. In other situations where we have fewer levels of security, the likelihood that the environment can be compromised is much higher. In our daily accounts, we often only have one username and a password, and that is the extent of our defenses. Anyone who obtains that username and password can gain access. Therefore, the likelihood that this environment can be compromised is very high. As a first step in the risk management process, organizations need to figure out how much risk they are willing to take. This is called a risk appetite or risk tolerance. For a very trivial example, if you are a big fan of football or a particular TV program, you will have a low tolerance for having a power outage during a big game or your favorite program. You also need to have power when you are trying to access important documents or sites for your business, so your risk appetite depends on how important that asset is. If your data is extremely sensitive, you will naturally be extremely averse to having any risk of a breach. To mitigate the risk, one option is to hire another company with the expertise to help you maintain the security of your environment. This will help reduce the risk. You would also consider implementing some security controls, which we will explore shortly. If we don't have the competence or the means to protect sensitive information, sometimes we need to avoid the risk. This means removing ourselves from a situation that can result in problems and refraining from initiating risky activities until we achieve a certain level of comfort with our security. We can also share or transfer the risk by obtaining cybersecurity insurance, so the insurance company assumes the risk. While it is nearly impossible to remove all risk, once we have done enough to reduce or transfer the risk and we are comfortable with the situation, then we can accept the level of risk that remains.
So as here, that it's not possible to eliminate, but you can only reduce. And after you have put a mitigation in place, whatever remains is the residual risk, which you can now accept. And the management must be in the picture of that. So let me see if you can look at this as well. Okay. So what is mitigation?
Number one,
Taking
taking
action.
action to prevent or reduce the impact of an event.
Transparency.
The last one, passing the risk to a third party.
Please, I want this class to be interactive.
Would you like us
Avoidance.
to raise our hands or would you like us
Okay.
to shout?
Let's know who wants to talk.
How would you like to know? Do you want us to raise our hands or just shout out?
So who is trying? Avoidance.
That will be the second one. Ignoring the risk and continuing only.
No.
No, I think it's the
No,
third
that's
one.
acceptance. That's acceptance.
I think it's the third one.
Third one.
Oh, sorry.
Seizing the risky activity, yes.
Oh, okay,
To
okay,
remove.
okay.
Yes.
Season. When you are avoiding it, you are not doing anything. It's like
That's
you just shut down that particular channel. It's like there is a risk in traveling. I try not to use your car. So that is season. Then I saw someone with the answer. Is it to be or acceptance?
Carrying the risk and continue with.
Yeah.
Second one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Vulnerability.
An inherent weakness or flaw.
Yep.
Most times it comes with the system, it comes with the application.
So I'm doing this thing. I'm frying the chicken so that the
A
blood can die.
person, so threat is
Please mute yourself. We don't have any question on chicken here.
Second to the last time.
Threat is the second to the last one.
Okay, threat. Okay, and
asset is something of value.
Value, good. All right. Now, anyone that will answer this should just raise your hand. I don't want to hear chorus answer. When a company chooses to ignore a risk and proceed with a risky activity, which treatment is being applied by default? Okay, Toyin.
That's acceptance. That's
Yes. Is that? Oh yeah, good. 2 people raising hands. 3. Okay. Is that the answer? Any other one? Yes. Or
that's acceptance. Huh?
That's acceptance. You know, choosing to ignore a risk and proceed with a risky activity. You go ahead. So that is acceptance. Thank you. And that is the correct one.
Where is that noise coming from?
Please, can you please mute yourself? So then we can, on our own, I think we can listen to this so that we can finish on time. Then we also talked about risks and priorities. You need to prioritize the risk. So and what this one is talking about is when risks have been identified, it is time to prioritize it. You don't just identify a risk and just go straight. Remember the risk assessment, identification, estimating it, and you prioritize it. So that will give an idea. So then what they analyze core risk through qualitative risk analysis or quantitative. So you're able to know the difference between the two. For the quantitative, you have a numerical value assigned to both impact and likelihood. Don't forget, risk has to do with likelihood that it will occur, and what is the impact when it happens. So you have a numerical value to it, putting a figure to it. But when you are looking at qualitative, you are just based on the assignment of descriptor, giving more like subjective. You are looking at, okay, high, it might be high, it might be low, it might be this, it might be that, or something. So when you are using the metrics low, medium, high, we call it qualitative risk analysis. And we have that also. So let's take note. This particular, if you look at this graph, what I have here, when the impact is low and the probability is low, this is what we have here. low probability, high impact, high probability, high impact. So this is where we have the highest risk, high probability and high impact. So let's just read the information here. There's something straightforward. Decision making based on risk priority as well. When making decision based on the risk, organization must evaluate the likelihood and impact of the risk as well as their tolerance for different sorts of risk. The company, Huawei is more concerned about the risk of volcanic eruption than a company in Chicago, but the Chicago company will have to plan for blizzard. In those cases, determining risk tolerance up to the executive management. When you are taking decision concerning risk, management has to be involved. We have an organization too that's for IT, and I know they also have some other business unit too. They call some people IT steering committee. They meet and look at it from all the business unit, the head of the business unit. They look at, okay, if we do this, what is the risk? The risk that we have identified. So how do we go about it? Which one do we start with? So these are people that take decision. You can see when it comes to risk, executive management has to be involved, and even the board of directors. So that is what that aspect is talking about. Not looking at it, maybe by 9 on the dot, we should be able to finish this part. Then risk tolerance, we have also mentioned it. The level of tolerance varies across organization, even internally. Different departments may have different attitudes toward what is acceptable or unacceptable. So please just take your time. What we do tolerate. We also use the word risk and appetite. So what after your mitigation, everything is okay. Can we go with this? Can we afford this? If it happens, no problem. We can replace. We can afford it. Some organizations, they are low risk. They almost to avert risk. They don't take. They are not risk. They can't take risk. But there are some, they will take it. They don't mind. So we just need to read that aspect. Risk tolerance drive decision making, and that's to with the executive, the management taking. You can an entry level person cannot be taking decision. That's why there are some things to push to your supervisor because they are collecting IRP, so they should decide and get back to you. So don't decide on what you will not be able to defend. So that is important. We can also go through this as well, just like a conversation, asking questions around the risk. Then the next one is understanding security controls now. What this one is just talking about is, okay, how do we now apply? We say we want to mitigate risk. When you are mitigating risk, then there are certain controls that must be in place. Types of controls. We have administrative control, using policy procedure. We also have a technical control, which is system-driven. And the last one, physical control, is operational. Physical, polar, BOLA, and the rest. Entrance to an organization, you have a turnstile, you have all this revolving door, and the rest. So these are physical controls. So just take your time to go through it. They are not difficult. Physical control, administrative, and technical. So these are what security control is all about. If it's not physical, it's technical. Administrative is like a policy. And when they are asking questions, there are some questions they will ask. Maybe when we start looking at some of the questions, they will mention something around physical control. But towards the end, they will now be referring to a document that a document that they introduced when a new staff joined them. So that what kind of control is that document, even though they've mentioned some other things that has to do with physical and technical. So you have to read the question and know what exactly do they want you to do. Are they referring to the document, or are they referring to other security breaches or whatever? So it's good to understand what exactly they want you to answer. And here, what they are saying here is this: the implementation of control should reduce risk, hopefully to an acceptable level. When you deploy a resource, you have invested so much in it, you still need to assess it at the end of the day. As this actually helps us, management will not put a huge amount of money on in buying a particular solution and the soldier is not doing anything, it has to be captured in your report, subsequent report, that when we deploy this is what we have at the moment. This is what where we were before. But after this, it has actually helped us. Then you see everybody smiling that, okay, the investment actually worth it. But after the whole deployment, the problem still persists. Then they will tell you that you have misled management. I've seen somebody that was given query that you misled management. So we have to be very careful, even when we are advising them on what to procure and not to procure. Even though there are other people that also be involved in signing off on the documents. I think we have some questions there. Acceptable use policy. What kind of control is this? Is it physical or technical? Are we together?
Administrative.
Yeah, good. It's just a document. When you join an organization, a document will be given to you. When you read the policy and the rest, just a document. So it's not technical, it's not physical, it's administrative. Badge reader.
Physical.
Technical.
The class is interesting now. Why do you call it physical?
No, it's technical, sorry. It's the reader, it's the badge that I saw first. So if it's reading the badge.
Yeah, so it's the device on the wall.
The
you put
device,
your badge
yeah.
on it. So it's a system on its own. anything technical is system driven. So let's just take note of that. Whatever is a system reading, but the badge, okay, let me see. Technical, let me see. Oh, sorry. The badge reader itself, sorry, they are not referring to the system, the operation, the way it works. They are referring to the badge itself, so it should be physical. Sorry. That's the device on its own. That is what he's talking about. So that should be physical. If they're now saying something that relates to the way it works, so we cannot be talking of, because these days, a whole lot of things, both physical and technical, they actually work together. But this one is just the reader. The device, is it physical? Is it technical?
Okay.
Yeah, so let's take note. Stop sign in parking lot.
Physical.
Physical.
Emergency operation procedure.
Admin.
Administrative.
Anything your procedure, policy is administrative. Then access control list.
Administrative.
Administrative.
Admin.
Administrative.
No?
Says list.
No, I will put there for you, but it will reject it.
That's technical.
It's technical.
Okay.
Some people that you maybe because some of us because of our background.
Because they saw the link, that's why they are saying it's document.
Exactly. So no, we have some application like firewall and the rest. They have like a rule that determine who has access to what to permit, what not to permit. So it's like a rule on on the application that will grant or not grant. Just like, okay, look at it from, you have a system, there are some documents where to say read only or read and write or something like that. It's technical. It's not physical, it's not administrative, it's not a document that you can hold and be reading. Then a door lock.
Physical.
Yeah, that's physical. Emergency awareness training.
Admin.
Administrative.
No, that's good. So I think we are done. So we're fine. Admin. So now we have another one. Who is trying? If you want to try, just raise your hand. Control and the triad now. This can protect information in a file cabinet from being viewed by unauthorized person, as well as keeping any document from being modified. So let me show you the options.
Encryption, is it?
This can protect information in file cabinet from being viewed.
Don't look.
Oh,
As
sorry,
well
John Locke.
as keeping documents from being modified.
Oh, it's John Locke.
This one is abstract, they've told you, but could be linked to availability because the sooner it works, the more data remains available. So which one is that? If it's working properly, then
Password policy. I'm not sure.
it can't be policy.
Could it be generator?
Biometrics.
Generator, sir.
But could be linked to availability. Why? Okay.
It's generator. Generator, if there's no light. It's generator, if there's no light. Nothing is available. For them, the data will not be available.
It is abstract.
But when it says generator, does it mean generating electricity? I think it's just generating.
Is it generating password?
Power. Generator for power.
No, but it's abstract, so it's not physical.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That
So it
it
would be
shouldn't be for
something
power.
around the description. No.
Generator is I think generator. I go for generator, Sha.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, Jen is fine, but you know they also mentioned data remains.
Data remain available.
Yeah.
It's a description.
What could make you to lose data? You know, okay, now I guess the reason why they put this question here, you know, the person that said this question possibly is not living in Nigeria. So they will not be having power issue like that the way we do have it. But now if you look at the more data remains, what could make you to lose your data completely?
Electricity, shortage, power outage.
Yeah, power.
That's not even on this list.
It's
That's not on the list.
I think
that's why
it's a fire extinguisher.
Hey. Oh.
But you said it's abstract too.
Yeah.
Could you explain that for us, please?
Okay. The generator, you know, most data center, they also have a backup.
Backup.
Do you understand? You can hardly go down completely. I'm talking of the structure environment now. You understand? So, but if you pick generator too, it might be fine. But there's another one that we actually go with generator. Do you understand? Let me. Okay, I don't know the particular one. Okay, now look at this.
Sorry, can I ask a question, please?
Right.
I don't understand why the availability of a fire extinguisher, when it's made available, gives you more data.
Yeah. If there's a fire incident in an environment, you can lose everything. Especially a data center.
Okay.
You won't have anything, nothing. If there's issue with a generator, there's always a backup. If when Jen is having issue, there will only be backup. Even in the data center, they have inverter, they have UPS.
Okay.
But when
But can't you apply that to a password based on what we're learning? Such that as soon as your password is made available or is working, you can now have access to more data.
Your password is not abstract, is it?
It's not abstract.
Is it password and abstract?
Password doesn't really have any effect on data. If you cannot log in, you cannot log in. Somebody can reset, you still have your information. But if there's a fire incident, you can lose everything.
But a password is it's not that.
So if there's a fire incident and usually for most buildings, what you have is fire extinguishers that can start up, probably from smoke detection, fire, the sensor senses fire, and then the extinguisher can, start up immediately. So if there is a fire incident, the sooner your fire extinguisher is able to start up, even if it's manual, the sooner you are able to, deploy your fire extinguisher, definitely the more data that you can preserve okay, and can be made available. So that could be an explanation for why the answer is fire extinguisher, because the sooner you are able to deploy your fire extinguishers in a fire incident, then the more you are able to preserve your assets.
Thank you, Mr. Sheung. Number 3, this can provide confidentiality by protecting data from unauthorized access and integrity from unauthorized changes. It will even be stretched to provide availability if shared emergency access to information is needed by more than one person.
So password.
Encryption.
Encryption or password.
Encryption. No, policy is a paper. No, encryption, I would say. Just similar to WhatsApp that say your data is encrypted between just the two parties that are sharing that information, and it can't be shared. And if you needed to pass an information across to someone else without them, you probably encrypt it with the password.
Password policy.
Don't forget towards the end to provide availability if shared emergency access to information is needed by more than one person. If you are saying encryption and when we get to the end, we will know which one is right, which one is wrong. So let's go.
Password. Password policy.
No, I'll go with encryption.
I support password.
Okay, maybe we can leave that, then we'll come back to it. This is usually associated with integrity to protect file from tampering or to provide non-repudiation. This one should be straightforward. It is also commonly used to protect data in transit from praying eyes. So it could be aiding confidentiality.
Encryption.
Encryption.
So data in transit or being stored and non-repudiation. So you need encryption. Then this protect availability by ensuring continued access to system during a power outage.
Okay.
You can see that continue access during a power outage.
That's generator.
Generator.
So if generator is working here, then that means fire extinguisher will be here then. Because here they did not mention any form of power outage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Then which one? This will be more general.
You're getting the flow of it now.
Yes, so this will most generally be associated with confidentiality, identity management, but could be argued for all three the same as password policy.
Biometrics.
Biometrics.
Yes, you know, you remember what you have, what to know, what to have, who you are.
Wow. Identity.
Now, then this one will come back to this.
Password policy.
Password policy.
Yeah.
That's good. So let's see. Door locked, fire execution, password, encryption, generator, biometrics. Okay, we are done. Yeah, thank you so much. I think maybe we can. The other one is just governance aspect of it, which we need to be familiar with. Distinguish between policy, procedure, standard, regulation. I don't know. Madam, when are we stopping?
We have 2 minutes, sir.
2 minutes. Okay, thank you. So
Please, Sunday, if you log in, just log out. If you log in and show me where to get the materials, please.
If you can be going through the material before class, it will help us a lot. So move.
Just want to know where to get it.
Now, so since we
Sorry, Mr. Sunday, you said you were going to send a link for risk assessment. You've not sent it.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Is there any WhatsApp that will be added to get those links, or through this call?
Yes, sir?
Are we going to be added to any WhatsApp group to be getting the link, or through this call?
There is an existing WhatsApp group.
Okay, I'm not there.
Okay. I'll ask Madam Timmy. You will be added.
Okay, thank you.
Or you just drop a message on the general WhatsApp group. Someone will attend to you. So I've dropped you can go through it for the risk assessment. Then I think maybe we can stop here. Possibly so that we can keep to time. This is 9. At least we have tried 2 hours. Being the first day. We're on our own. Let's read up. So when we meet next week, we can complete this part and move to the next chapter.
Please, I'm still waiting. If you log out, just log in. Let me know how to get this.
Okay.
Yeah, I got an email here, but I don't know where to get the reading material. I don't know if that is the one.
So if you're on this page. Okay.
Thank you, Timmy. Thank you, Sunday.
Member dashboard. To take you to the portal. So once you log in, candidate home. No, sorry, it's not candidate home. You click on your profile. Can you see the sign here? My courses.
I've dropped the link to the WhatsApp. Well, it's practically impossible for me to be adding people one at a time. So please click on the link and you'll be granted access.
Okay, thank you. So just click on that profile, then my courses, then you come here, you click on your CC, you will see it. If truly you have been enrolled for the course, you will see it. The material will have been added to your profile, then you can continue reading and read. That's a pre-course assessment you will need to do, maybe like 75 questions. There are some you might be able to answer correctly, there are some you don't get it. No problem, just move on. So after the whole thing, you can come back again to attempt it again. Content. I'm going to show you the. Can you see it? So because this is where we stopped, so just telling me to continue, but to show you the course introduction and watch some videos and the rest. These are the courses. Then you continue reading.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunday.
Thank you. Is there any other question you want to ask?
Thank you so much.
Go to my profile.
You have questions to ask, Mr. Idowu? Any questions?
I don't have questions for Mr. Idowu, but I just want to clarify. If we want to write the exam, do we have to come to Scotland?
No.
Okay.
When was it? Did you join the fourth session?
No, I didn't join the first session.
So you're not registered yet?
No, I'm not.
Portal. Right. So that is good. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you very much, Mr. Idowu. We really appreciate you. You're amazing. Thank you.